Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
I wanted to just talk football. My last podcast spent 28 minutes talking about the overview of how to have success, considering Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel were under heavy weight to win this season. But I watched the Dive Bar. Great show. Bobby Schaus is a great guy. They had Jeff Darlington on, and it was a doozy revelation. Darlington talked about, he said, just recently he found out that Grier was never, ever on the hot seat, and Mike McDaniel, his seat never got warm. And I got to put it out here. I want to focus on football, but if you're an old-time fan, if you've played football, understand high business and all this stuff, there's two things that always have to be on the table at the foundation of any success. One is focus on being your best and winning. And then second is fear that if you're not that, someone else is going to come in and replace you. I did a little stint in college as a walk-on, and that motivated my behind like you wouldn't believe. It's the heart of football. It's just why these coaches are so insane. These GMs are so insane because they know that at any moment they could lose their gig and they might not get it back. But that's got to be the driving force to football success. And if Grier wasn't on a hot seat last year, and I thought he would be a little bit when Dudley Durong did his podcast and talked about got time for this guy to go and all the big voices were rising up, but it quickly evaporated and I realized that he's going to be back most likely, although I had some hope at the end. But this season I said, you know what, there's got to be a hot seat. There's got to be an absolute laser-eyed focus on success. And in my last podcast, I talked a little bit about narratives, and I said this. The worst case scenario is Grier's a lifer. And it doesn't really matter if we win this season because he's going to be here the year after that and the year after that, and we're just going to keep stacking talent. That would be the worst case scenario. And really, that's got to be the biggest fear of anybody who wants this Dolphins team to have real success. You could bring players in, but if that's not a driving force underneath, everything's going to buckle underneath that. This is why players come here. They go party, don't show up late because they know what's going on in the background. Clearly, Grier is who Grier is. He's a yes man. He's a front man. Garfunkel made lots of money for Ross, manages money. They put the Formula One thing around the track. I can't remember who it was said something. He said the league's separated into three groups of owners. 1/3 wants to win. 1/3 wants to make money from their team. And 1/3 just wants control. And it's clear that they weren't on a hot seat. We're not about winning. We kind of get that vibe. Money. Ross has got tons of money. He's got the Formula One racetrack. He wants this to be a legacy thing, handing it off to his daughter. So it's about control. And control won't get you success in the NFL. You've got to be about winning. It's got to be all about winning. And so I think Ross also understands that he made a pariah of himself. I think there was a time he really wanted to win, but he polluted the waters so bad that no real GM, no real coach wants to come here. Real GM would come in and say, Garfunkel, you're not involved. Ross, hey, you got to cut you out. I'm in charge of the football operations. Anything that detracts from us winning has got to be cut out. And he'll never have that. There is a Rasputin effect with Garfunkel. You want to look at Grier, but really it's Garfunkel. He's made Ross tons of money. If a real GM comes in here and all about winning, it's going to be a mess. And I think what we've seen with this media department, it's about narratives, creating hopium to lead people into the next season and then do it all over again, rinse and repeat, because the majority of people don't really dig too deep and they'll believe a lot of this hopium. But I want to win. I want real success. And I think a lot of you do too. But thinking Grier and McDaniel on a hot seat this season, I don't think I think he is a lifer, Grier, for an extended period of time. And I think he'll be back next year and the year after that. I think they just need a semblance of success. And this is not good news. And I don't want to dig too deep into this because it's depressing and I want to get back to football. But this has got to be a truth that we hold on to. We heard things like Grier might be on a hot seat. All this stuff was likely narratives leaked out to create the image, to get fans to this point so they can focus back on free agency and the draft and rinse and repeat the cycle. Problem is, I don't like Kraft. I don't like the Patriots, but they moved off Mayo in one season, got Vrabel in here, and he first said he came in here, I want accountability. They're about winning. Bills, they're in charge. They got talent. They're about winning. They're about to get loads of money, new draft. It's going to be very, very difficult for the Dolphins. They could do good things in free agents. They could do good things in the draft. But players understand. How do you get players acting like this? And then it's not like the end of the world. And so this will continue. It's going to be impossible to get yourself in a framework of real success if there is no real success. And the owner and the front office guys, they're running the show, and the GM is lock, stock, and barrel, Teflon coated, ready to come back no matter what. So, I mean, the Jets, at least they just gutted everything after huge investments because they really want to win. They're just not capable, I don't think. We'll see what happens this year. But they're as screwed up as us, but they have the heart of football in their operation. They're idiots, thank God, but I don't see how, if this is how we're operating, you're going to be able to get serious people in here to do this thing, because it's always going to be undercut by the reality that people beyond the football operations have the true power. And so it's bad news. I want to just compartmentalize it and put it on the side. Hopefully something good can come out of it. But historically speaking, it's just as a long shot as Grier building the offensive line against tried and true century-old concepts of football and thinking it would work. So I hate to be the bad guy. I guess that's my role. I appreciate the dive bar and Jeff Darlington bringing this out because we've got to be honest. And I think this really changed a lot of stuff in my mind about this team. Sadly, not for the better. So I'll get back to football. I got to cover it the way I do. I love this team. I love you viewers. I want us to be about the game and not drama. But if these guys weren't on a hot seat even remotely, then the heart of football is not really here in Miami. So bad news, if true, likely we see the results. The quick little letter that came out right after the loss about they trust in their support and they fully believe in them. Guys, it's a show here. It's a show. Maybe it'll change, but this is not good. So I'll get back to football coverage. Sorry if I had to play the bad guy again, but I've got to report what's the truth and be honest with you. And in my evaluation, this is the worst news we can get. You could be a clown show and want to win. Eventually, you might get it right. But if it's about just control and it's about money and it's about image, I got a bad feeling. So Curtis saying something or other. Go Fins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.